Hi everyone, welcome to another identity management video. This is the third in our series leading up to custom membership, the ability to add and remove multiple users to multiple objects at the same time. This functionality was released in one of the latest hotfixes. I'm sure if you've watched the previous two videos, you've heard me saying that, but I'll say it again for anyone who's new. In this video, we're going to be looking at getting the permissions to allow users to create, delete and edit the door control resource type. In the previous video we did the search scopes and navbar item, and in the video before that we just created the original object. So before we try and create those permissions, I'm just going to go and create a new object type really quickly. You can see that we've got the default RCDCs because we've not tried to do anything with those yet. I'm just going to put display name of test door control, click finish, click submit, and we can see that we're getting access denied. So no policy grants the request of permission to complete these changes. So we're going to go to the management policy rules, and we're going to have to create some new MPRs, management policy rules, to grant access to the users who we want to be able to manage this. Before we start creating these MPRs, we need to actually create a set. So we'll open the sets first, and we'll just create a set. And what this set is going to be is a set of all our door control objects. So and we'll click next, and we'll select door control objects. There it is. Again, you can view the membership, but it's not going to show us anything of use because we haven't added anything, we don't have permission to anything, but at least we now have a set of all the door control objects that we might want to use at some point in the future. One of the things that I didn't do, but I find useful to do, is just to put the number in front of the description, so you've got like a log of when things were changed. So the first time you edit the object, you would have 01, the second time 02, 03, 04, and then that way you sort of get a little history of what you've been doing with the object, and it makes it a little bit easier to understand when things are changed. Again, not compulsory, but something that you might want to think about. So we're now going to create we're going to create four MPRs. One for creating the objects, one for deleting, one for modifying, and one for reading. And you might be thinking, well, why not just create one that does everything? And you could do if you think, well, actually this set of users who's going to be creating, deleting, and modifying the objects and reading the objects is going to be able to read them all. They're going to modify all the objects. It might make sense to use just a single MPR. But if at some point in the future you want to sort of break it down and say, well, they can read all the attributes, but they can't modify them, then it becomes a little bit more tricky. So I think if you just take a little bit more time at the start to create all the objects individually, you sort of save yourself some problems in the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a MPR which allows all the administrators in the solution to create these objects. I like to prefix these MPRs again just to try and avoid any conflicts with any future objects Microsoft might add in a future patch, and also to sort of make it easier for me to go, right, this is something that I've created. For these sort of permission ones, I like to start them with PPM, sort of portal permission model. It makes sense to me, but again, you can use your own prefixes and have your own ideas. So display name PPM, admins can create door control objects. We'll put the description 01 MPR created. We'll click next. So the specific set of requesters is going to be the administrator set, and they can create, and we're granting permission. And this is where we can pick the door control, and they can create all the attributes. So we'll click finish. There's no policy workflow, so when we create this object, we're not going to trigger any workflows or anything that run in the background. And so now we've got our ability to go and create those door control systems. So if we go back here, we can go door control test, and we can click finish, click submit, and that object is now getting created. And there we have it. But we can see that the door control is only read only, so I can't edit it now. So we need now to create an NPR that lets us edit this this set. So we'll do that next. So we'll go .ppm admins can modify door control objects 01.mpr created. Click next. Administrators again. Helps if I can type. And this time they can add, remove and modify single valued attributes. So they can do the multi-value, adding and removing, and they can do the single value as well. So we'll click next, and we'll pick the door control object again. And you might be thinking, well, a door control object is always going to be a door control object, so before or after I make the change. But what you can do is you can have certain scenarios. So for example, if somebody was in your HR department and they move into IT, you can sort of say, well, the definition is before is all users in the HR department, the definition afterwards is all users in the IT department. And then you can have a workflow that triggers just to update the some of the attributes based on that move. So in this instance, it's going to be the same, but in other scenarios, there could be benefits to having it separate. Again, with the attributes that you can modify, I do prefer to pick the ones that are only relevant to what we want to do. So in this instance, it's going to be things like display name, we're going to want to have the filter in there as well, the computed member, the X door room control, and the description, and the explicit membership. So this will allow us to modify a fair few attributes, and by not selecting the all attributes, it means that we can only change the attributes that we're interested in. So we'll click finish, and we'll click submit. And if we go back to the door control now, we can see that it's no longer read only, and we can now change the name of it. Click OK, and we can see that we've got the old value and the new value, and we can submit, and that's been changed. Okay, so we can now create the objects and update the objects. So let's create the ability to let the admins delete it. So again, ppm admins can delete door control objects 01.mpr created. Click next. Administrators, and we'll select the delete. We'll select grant, and next. And we'll get the door control and all attributes and finish. So now we can go in here and we can delete that object. That's now deleted. And the last thing we want to do is just give the ability to read the attributes. So we'll create a new NPR called .ppm admins can read door control objects 01.mpr created. Click next. Administrators. Read grant permission next. Target is that door control again, and we'll let them have read access to all the attributes. So there we go. We have now created our MPRs that allow the admins to create, delete, modify, and read the door control objects. What we're going to look at in the next video is just updating those RCDC so they're a bit more user friendly. Only the attributes we're interested in are displayed, and make that user experience a little bit nicer. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Any questions or queries, just drop me a comment or send me a tweet on Twitter. In the next video, like I said, we're going to look at the RCDCs. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.